Welcome to this explainer today. We're going to unlock the secrets behind a deeply relatable yet, intensely guarded human habit. We're talking about talking to ourselves. Come on. We all have that shared secret, right? You're completely alone in your kitchen, or maybe you're driving in your car and you're just chattering away to an empty room. Well, today we are going to completely reframe this habit, because by the time we finish up here, you're going to realize that this little quirk of yours, it ain't a flaw. It's actually one of the absolute most powerful cognitive tools you possess. Okay, let's dive into this because we all know that sudden burning flash of embarrassment, your mid-sentence, deeply engaged in this absolutely fascinating debate with exactly no one, and suddenly someone walks into the room, you just freeze, you immediately pretend you are. I don't know, singing along to a song or just clearing your throat. Our knee-jerk reaction is to feel caught like we were doing something totally weird. But seriously, why do we feel so incredibly guilty about it? To ground the psychology here, let's look at those highly relatable micro-moments we all experience. We have all paced around a room muttering, "Where did I put those keys? I literally know they were right here." Or maybe you're pacing around rehearsing some really tough conversation you need to have with your boss later. Or hey, perhaps you're just hyping yourself up in the mirror before a big date. I want to validate you right now. Everyone does this. This isn't some glitch in your software. This is standard everyday human operating procedure. All right, let's get into section 1, the self-talk stigma. And this brilliantly illustrates the real issue here. For generations, society has handed down this stigma. The talking to yourself is, well, a little strange or worse, a sign that you're slowly losing your mind. We've basically been conditioned to keep our thoughts completely silent. The myth out there is that talking to yourself is a bug, that it's unusual or unhealthy, but the scientifically backed fact, it is a high-level, everyday cognitive feature. Researchers today know that an internal voice running throughout the day is absolutely fundamental. It helps you plan, solve problems, and make decisions. So we're throwing out this idea of an embarrassing bug and recognizing it for what it truly is, a high-ending feature of the human brain, moving right along to section 2, where your inner voice begins. To truly understand why we do this as adults, we gotta trace the origin story of our internal dialogue all the way back to our earliest days. You didn't just pick this up randomly. This is a core piece of human development. Just look at how this progresses over time. Step 1, a young child first uses speech purely to communicate with the outside world, but then step 2 kicks in. Watch a child trying to solve a puzzle. You will literally hear them talking themselves through every single step out loud. This piece goes here, no wait, maybe over there. Psychologists see children naturally taking social speech and turning it inward. Finally, as we hit step 3 in adulthood, those outward conversations quiet down, transforming into the silent inner voice we recognize as our everyday thoughts. Next up is section 3, 3 brain superpowers. Let's move to and see how this builds our 3 main cognitive superpowers, because honestly, this is where the science gets incredibly exciting. Verbalizing your thoughts directly leads to improved thinking and organization. It acts as a phenomenal tool for emotional regulation, and it serves as a powerful mechanism for memory retrieval. So let's break down exactly why your brain demands that you talk to yourself. Starting with that first one, superpower number 1, improved thinking. Look, when you explain something out loud, you aren't just making noise. Speaking physically activates multiple areas of your brain simultaneously. It essentially forces your brain to organize information much more clearly and instantly. Just paint a quick mental picture of a professional athlete pumping themselves up before a game, a student repeating complex ideas while cramming for a test, or a musician quietly counting out a rhythm. They're using their voice to force their brain to lock in focus and process information efficiently. It's brilliant superpower. Number 2 is emotional regulation. Imagine you've had an incredibly stressful day and you catch yourself quietly whispering, "It's okay, just stay calm. You're gonna figure it out." You are doing so much more than just speaking words into the air. The physical act of voicing supportive thoughts aloud actively calms your nervous system down. Studies actually show this kind of self-talk drastically reduces stress and helps people perform way better when they're under intense pressure. And that brings us to superpower number 3, memory retrieval. Come on, we've all done this exact pat down at the front door, right phone wallet keys, or when you're searching for your glasses and asking, "Where did I put them?" out loud. What you're really doing is reinforcing your attention. Speaking the names of important items aloud creates a much stronger cognitive imprint. It makes it significantly easier for your brain to retrieve the memory of where you left the darn things. Let's jump into section 4, the name-dropping trick. So this brings us to the actionable user manual part of our explainer, because while talking to yourself is totally natural, the specific words you choose to use, they matter immensely to your mental hardware. We really have to warn against the danger of negative self-criticism when we compare these two approaches. A harmful phrase like, "I always mess everything up," when repeated over and over, is incredibly dangerous. Why? Because your brain eventually starts treating those repeated internal messages as absolute reality. Conversely, using helpful, realistic language like I have prepared for this challenge actively strengthens your resilience and motivation. Think of your inner voice as a coach. You have to make sure it's actually a good one. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is a fascinating trick psychologists have uncovered. The ultimate brain hack isn't just telling yourself "I can do this." It's actually taking out the word "I" and inserting your own first name. Saying "Sarah, you've got this," or "Ali, stay focused," completely changes how your brain processes the encouragement. The reason that name-drawing trick works so well is because of this academic concept, psychological distance. By using your own name, you force your brain to take a step back from overwhelming immediate emotions. It allows you to think way more objectively. You essentially trick your brain into feeling like you are giving advice to a close friend rather than dealing with your own personal crisis. It's a wildly effective tool to instantly regain control in a stressful moment. Seriously, try it next time you're stressed. Let's move into Section 5, Healthy Habits versus Hallucinations. I want to slow down our pace for a second here just to establish a very grounding, clarifying boundary regarding mental health, because we really need to be incredibly clear on this distinction. So the crucial point is recognizing the difference between a healthy cognitive tool and an experience that actually requires professional attention. A healthy internal conversation is controlled, it's helpful, and it distinctly feels like your own thoughts. On the flip side, hearing voices is uncontrolled and it seems entirely separate from your own thoughts. By clearly and neutral drawing this line, we can safely remove all the lingering unnecessary stigma around healthy self-talk. Again, it's a normal part of human psychology. In fact, normal might be a total understatement. Here's the validating mic drop for you. Some of history's most brilliant minds were famous for talking to themselves. We're talking scientists, writers, elite athletes, and world-changing inventors who openly documented how they spoke out loud through complex problems to reach solutions they simply couldn't find while thinking silently. Sometimes your brain literally just needs to hear the idea out loud to fully understand it, which leaves us with this final thought. Your internal dialogue is not a glitch. It isn't a sign of weakness. It is one of the most powerful psychological tools you possess for organizing information, regulating your emotions, and preparing for the future. The voice inside your head is listening right now, so what will you tell it today? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer.